So it's been 2 days since Subaru unveiled the new WRX, and I am still scratching my head, so I feel like I really need to talk about it. All right, so I'm going to share my thoughts on the WRX and what I think as a former 2015 WRX owner and someone that's interested in the new STI. This is kind of the baseline, right? Subaru reveals the WRX. They're going to build off this for the STI, so I was really stoked to see what they're starting with for when I'm interested in maybe trading in my Type R for an STI, and I'm rather disappointed. So let's start with the bad, go there, then we're going to talk about the good, and then we're going to talk about, I think, who should actually buy this car. So let's start with the looks. It's the first thing you see, and you see the plastic body cladding all over the car. I can't believe they did this. I hate it. I completely hate it. I'm curious about your guys' opinions. When you look at it, the front end, it's okay. I can deal with it. I looked at the side profile around the wheel wells, and I do not like it at all. It looks more raised with the body cladding, and I think it just doesn't fit a kind of sports sedan car. And then I thought that was the worst of it, because I saw the rear and I was like, yeah, it's okay. And then I started seeing more pictures of the rear, and it honestly looks like someone at Subaru said, hey, for some reason we want to make this car 3 inches longer. We already have a painted bumper. What should we do with the back? And some guy said, let me get some body cladding for $5 and tape it onto the back and stretch it out 3 inches. And I don't know. I can't get over that right now. It's so in your face, and I think it just doesn't fit the characteristics of the car. And what's weird is you think they'd almost have some focus groups on this, and I can't see a ton of WRX former owners going into a focus group and saying, yeah, I want more cladding on this car. I want it to look like a Crosstrek. And then I just don't see. I don't see how they thought this was a good idea, but I guess that's my opinion. Next thing to talk about is the engine. It is 20% larger than the previous gen engine, so it actually has 20% more power. Oh no, it has 3 more horsepower. Yeah, how did that happen? So here's some thoughts on that. You've probably all seen it, 3 more horsepower, no more torque. Subaru is saying it has a wider power band, but it's also a lower red line, which I feel like is unfortunate too, so you can't ring it out as much. But it's disappointing. I think it should have been like 300 horsepower, then you make the STI at least 350, if not closer to 400, like the rumors are saying. But this is complete speculation, and my only thought of why they did this is they're worried about the CVT. So they don't want to make 2 different versions of the WRX, where you have the CVT version, which they're offering, that has a lower horsepower number, then you have the 6-speed version that has higher horsepower. CVTs aren't known to handle a ton of power. That's why CVTs are always in these cars that are like 100-something horsepower. And I'm just not sure if they're worried that if they made this car 300, 310 horsepower, that they're worried about warranty claims or reliability if something goes wrong with that transmission with the excessive power, and so they just kept it low. I'm not quite sure, but it is definitely a head scratcher. And the last big negative thing I want to talk about is what they're doing with the packaging. So like they have adaptive cruise and whatnot, but you can only get that in automatic. My Type R has adaptive cruise and stuff, and it's a stick, so you can typically put that on a stick shift car. Also on the automatic only is like this GT trim or GT line, which looks awesome and is something I would definitely get if I was buying this car, but it doesn't come on the manual. You get upgraded Recaros, you get adaptive suspension, which is I think the biggest deal. I have that in the Type R, and going from soft to comfort is amazing. And then you also get like these drive modes where I think you can adjust kind of the steering feel, how stiff it is, and some other things as well that are in that package. And it's like, you can't get that in the manual. Why not? I don't really understand why. So I think those are definitely the big bad things. Some of the good guys, the styling I'm fine with if you take off the cladding. So like if you look just at actually like the painted bumper, the new headlights, the new hood, I'm okay with the rear tail lights. It all looks fine to me, and I think the car, I don't expect a lot from a WRX. Typically the styling's just like, I don't know, it's never been amazing, it's always been fine. So I was expecting fine styling, not poor with the body cladding. So if they took off the cladding and just had painted stuff, I feel like it'd be okay, and I would be fine with that. If you look at kind of the side-on view, it looks extremely similar to the last gen. Again, if you just take off the body cladding, just the shape of it. I know it's on a new platform, which is good. Their new Subaru global platform. But again, it kind of has that same shape, so it's not a huge revolution in the design except for the cladding. But again, it's not too bad if you can look away from that, if you can look away from the cladding. And then the interior is definitely an upgrade. Again, it's what you expect out of a Subaru. It's nothing crazy, but it's definitely good where you have the new infotainment, looks a lot better. I've heard that screen can be a little laggy, and I know you have some climate control built into that, which isn't always ideal, but I think the materials are definitely better. It was plastic fantastic in my 15 WRX. I feel like there's a lot nicer materials in it. I think on some of the trims you have a little more of an Alcantara on the dash as well. So that's definitely an upgrade and something good. And finally, who should get this car? So this is a huge dilemma, I think. You've got the WRX, which already retains its value well. When you look at this, I would say I like the last gen more still, the 15 to 21 gen. I don't think there's enough there in the new one to upgrade if you still like your current one. And that's also a problem too, is that the styling is polarizing. A lot of people might not like it. So it's almost, you would say, okay, go for a used one like a 19 or a 20 or 21 with just 10 or 15,000 miles if you want something relatively new. Save some money and you still get an amazing car with the same power, and will probably be more reliable just because the first year of a new gen is always like the least reliable of a car's generation, because it has new engine, new components, etc. Where if you're buying a 19, 20, 21 of last gen WRX, it's been out for a while, they fine-tuned things, and it should be more reliable. But the big dilemma is that, like I said, the WRX holds its value so well. I had my WRX for, was like 6.5 years or something, and I still got over 50% of my original purchase price when I traded it into a dealer, not even a private party sale. So they hold their value so well, and then in this crazy market we're in, where all the used car values are just super inflated, getting a used WRX, it's going to be like close to the price of a new one. So that's kind of the big dilemma. If we didn't have this crazy market, I would say definitely look harder at the used. But because it's gonna be close to the same price, you can get a brand new warranty, no one's ever driven it, it's all yours. So that's the dilemma, but I think from a look standpoint, I don't think it looks that much better. I don't really think it looks better than the last gen, especially with the cladding. And then also the power is kind of the same. So it's a hard argument for that next gen, especially if you owned a previous one. I just don't see it there right now. And so now this gets me to wrapping all this up with the STI version. So I'm really interested in an STI version of this. I love my Japanese sports cars. I had my 370Z. I already talked about my Civic Type R. And I just love Subarus, honestly. It was my first like real good sports car, is the WRX. So I'm interested always to get into an STI. I just wanted a new engine. I didn't want an old EJ engine. So I'm still extremely intrigued to what they do with the new one. And what something they may have to do to make me even want it at all is to remove that cladding. I know I sound like a broken record, but I hate it. So I'm thinking, since they want to differentiate, it's going to be what sounds like the same 2.4 liter engine from the WRX is going to be in the STI, obviously tuned for a lot more. That needs to be at least 350 horsepower, I feel, just to move up in the market. And then you're going to have the big wing to differentiate it. You're going to have the way better all-wheel drive system with more differentials, better differentials. That's going to distinguish it. But then I think they should just do something different. If you had the WRX with the cladding, saying it's almost like a cross-trekky, sporty rally sedan, make the STI just like a sports car. Like, make it so that you get rid of the cladding, you put a nice body kit on it that's all paint matched and all painted. I think that's the way to go with it, and if they do that, I'll be really intrigued. But if they do put the cladding on the STI like that, I don't know. But luckily there's aftermarket. I'm curious what the aftermarket's going to do with that cladding, because I'm sure there's going to be a ton of people buying it and wanting to remove it. I don't know what you can do. I don't know what's under there, if there is anything under there. But I'm sure the aftermarket will figure something out, and it's going to be interesting to watch that. Also going to be interesting to watch the tuning on this 2.4 in the WRX, just because I think there's tons of headroom in there, especially now that it has more displacement. And so just a simple cob tune, when they come out with it, I bet you'll give you tons more power. And then if you do a few more bolt-ons, I think it'll be like a really fast car. So anyway, that's my thoughts. I want to hear everybody else's thoughts, because I'm curious if I'm alone in this and I just hate that cladding and everybody else loves it, or if maybe I am in the majority and most people don't like it. And what do you think about the power, CVT, 6-speed? What do you think about all the packaging, all of it? I want to hear about it, because I'm just curious. I'm interested to see what happens in the community when they start buying this car, what they do to mod it, visually especially, which usually I don't care about, but I'm curious what they'll do visually with it as well. But I'm interested. I want to see where this goes, and I'm excited for the STI. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned. I'm actually have a 370Z video that I'm working on right now that I think will be pretty cool. Anyway, talk to you in the next one.